Bombers have attacked two crowded churches in the Pakistani city of Lahore, killing at least 14 people and injuring nearly 80 others. A group with links to the Pakistani Taliban says it carried out the attacks. Well, angry crowds took to the streets to protest afterwards. Our correspondent Shaima Khalil reports now from Islamabad.
A day of worship turned into a day of bloodshed. The bombs hit as people attended Sunday service in Lahore's Youhanabad area, one of the country's biggest Christian neighborhoods. Ambulances rushed dozens of the injured to local hospitals as authorities continued to assess the extent of the damage. The Pakistani Taliban splinter group Jamaat al-Ahrar has said it was behind the attacks, describing them as suicide bombings. There are reports that a man had tried to get into one of the churches and blew himself up when security stopped him. The mood turned violent in the aftermath. Protesters have clashed with security forces in a show of frustration at the lack of protection for Pakistan's Christians. A police spokeswoman said two people were beaten to death by an angry mob who thought they were involved in the attacks. Members of the Christian community have long complained of being targets of hate crimes. Police say they're still investigating the cause of the bombings, but this shows once again how vulnerable the Christians are here in Pakistan. Shaima Khalil, BBC News, Islamabad.
Well, with me now is Wilson Chowdhry. Wilson is the chairman of the British Pakistani Christian Association. And Wilson, extended members of your family involved in this attack today. Tell us what's happened.
Indeed, my auntie from my paternal uncle's side has informed me that my aunt's nephew, who was a security officer at the church, was blown up in the incident. He prevented the bombers from gaining access into the church.
And you also had cousins who were in the church at the time? They were in the church at the time, and when the explosions happened, the panic that ensued, they've described that to me, and it was horrendous. Families have been, many families have locked themselves in their homes. Others have been so frustrated, so angry by it, they're out protesting, and I believe a station has been blockaded, and there is a mass protest occurring as we currently speak. How difficult is it to be a Christian in Pakistan? It's very difficult. I mean, they're denigrated on a daily basis, they're abused. The majority of Pakistani Christians work as domestic labour, 86% work as domestic labour, cleaners, sewage workers, or are in bonded labour, where they're paying off debts of perhaps £50 for generation after generation, and their children get stuck in that same that same block, unfortunately. The other factors we always have to face are potential threats from blasphemy allegations being laid against us simply because people want to settle personal vendettas or take your land or property. And how many Christians are there in Pakistan? What sort of numbers are we talking about here, Wilson? Well, the churches did their own assessment, a survey, if you like, around 3 years ago, and they believe there is around 13 million. The Pakistani government was purporting 1.6 million for many a year. They've decided in the most recent census that it's closer to 3 to 4 million. The British Pakistani Christian Association believes the figure will be between 8 to 10 million. So more Pakistani Christians go to church in Pakistan, more Christians go to church in Pakistan than here in the UK. And tough conditions and long term, do you have fears about whether Christianity can thrive and certainly survive in Pakistan? It's a fear of ours every day, and obviously incidents seem to be increasing in frequency and intensity. This attack is not the first bomb attack. We all remember the Peshawar bomb attack, September 2013, where over 100 people were killed and over 156 were injured. We've been providing aid for those victims. Now we have these new victims to help and support. We're just finding that every day there seems to be a report of violence. There's a statistic that 3 girls are kidnapped, raped and forced into Islamic marriage every week, and that number is increasing. It's terrifying. You're taking away our daughters. How can we sustain our community? And I suspect I may know the answer to this, but the response of the Pakistani government and the Pakistani police has been, in your mind, what? Well, the Pakistani police today were watching the cricket, which is why they weren't able to respond very quickly. It's a major concern that during one of our most dangerous moments in the history of Pakistani Christians, the forces meant to be protecting them decided they wanted to watch the World Cup cricket. It's diabolical. We really want the government of Pakistan to recognise that all minorities should be equal, change the constitution of Pakistan, which creates second-class citizenship for Pakistani Christians, and also for the blasphemy law of Pakistan to desist or to return back to its original state when it was introduced by the British to protect people of all faith, not just Muslims.
Well, Wilson Chowdhry, thank you for coming in today. Clearly a difficult day with one of your relatives killed in that attack and others present for it. So we're very grateful for you to make the time to join us and give us your opinions.
Thank you ever so much.